Hey everyone, Skull902 here. 15 years ago today, my old Sprite series Sonic and Mario debuted after nearly 2 years of development and 10 months after its initial announcement. To celebrate, I'm going to be making this 6-part series giving some observations and trivia on each episode and season, with another one for the specials and extra stuff. And of course, there will be a lot of regret expressed during the earlier episodes. Credit where it's due. This format was inspired by Monster Island Buddy's Monster Island Secrets videos. If you like Godzilla and all, you should check out his channel. With that said, let's look at Season 1, released in 2009. Right off the bat, I want to apologize for all the loud episodes early on. I don't know if it was just that I liked blaring the volume in my ears or like my headphone settings. I do seem to remember it not being as loud like in my ears when I would play them back. But the episodes, especially in like seasons 1 and 2, really fucking loud, and I am terribly sorry for that. So with the look of the episodes, you can tell the colors are a little off, and that's because I made this episode in the Windows Vista Movie Maker on my grandma's computer. Since I didn't have my normal Windows XP computer at the time, I had to go over to my grandma's house, make all the frames with my brother, and then edit the video there. And Windows Vista Movie Maker screws with the colors in a really interesting way. I know I showed a comparison in the Season 5 behind-the-scenes video, but it is a little strange. I did remake this episode about a year and a half after it came out, and one thing, aside from the correct colors that I want to point out is, I actually, like, you know, for how weird Windows Vista Movie Maker was, the music video portion, like when Sonic's, you know, messing around on his surfboard or whatever, that one I really actually like on the original version a lot better. Say what you will about the color differences and whatnot, but Vista Movie Maker had like way more visual effects, which I think helped that sequence, and it just wasn't quite as good in the remake version.
Leave us alone.
Dear God, my original Knuckles voice was bad. I've never been a fan of voicing the character myself. I never have been, like, a fan of how I portray him. But I'll say this, I got better later on. My God.
No thanks.
I want to come.
Nope.
I'm not the only VA in the series, of course. In this episode, we have the debuts of KN as Rouge the Bat, Star Woodpatch as Amy Rose and Princess Peach, and Hamstar Runner 1 as Tails. So the way that I found the voice actors, KN and Star Woodpatch were auditions. KN in particular sent me like her Rouge voice as like the legit audition, and then Eggman and Knuckles as kind of like shitpost backup auditions. They were from her old, like her very first Sonic voice demo, and I was like, this Rouge is perfect. I don't need to look for anyone else. Star Woodpatch was one of, I think, a few to audition for Amy, and I liked her well enough and had her come in. Hamstar Runner 1, I got into contact with through another friend. Hamstar was like a very popular pick to voice Tails back in the day. Like, he was an actual kid. Of course, not the kind of casting I would do now. He did this in like an unreleased Sonic and Mario like preview video, and then after that I just lost contact with him. I don't know if he fell off the face of the earth or just quit voice acting. I'm not entirely sure, but those are the 3 voice actors, aside from me, introduced into the series in episode 1. The backgrounds are constantly shifting here. I didn't know how to properly do my frames for this in episode 2, and it feels so awkward to look at, because it really did just involve hitting the undo button, you know, and I know that doing that was limited with Vista and XP's version of Paint, but I had a lot better of a way of making sure the background was consistent. So like, I look at this and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? This episode has a credit sequence, as does the second. Back then, I was just doing this on like every one of my videos, and I think after the second one, Can wrote in the comments that like it just kind of added time to the episode that wasn't necessary, stuff that I could just put in the description. So I was like, you know what, you're right, and then they started going exclusively in the description after that. So a little remnant from my older Sprite videos in this little part here. Here's a little piece of trivia that I've divulged on the channel before. I was editing this video as the news that Michael Jackson passed away was going on. So it was June 25th, 2009. I had everything all ready. I was putting the video together, and I heard on the news through, like, my grandma was watching it in the living room. I was in, like, the back bedroom editing. At first, it was just that something happened, and then I took a break from editing, you know, to see more until it was announced that he was dead. And that was a weird feeling. Kinda surreal to be getting this news as I was editing this video about a silly video game crossover, but that's how things turned out. I uploaded this episode during a family get-together. We had a little cookout as we were preparing to watch some fireworks. And it was interesting because, like, you know, I was amongst family members, but I kind of felt a little lonely sitting there at the computer trying to make sure that this episode was up and everything was right with it and everything. So a bit isolated, despite being among many people as I uploaded this one. It only really happens in this episode from what I can recall, but you get these microphone pops when I, you know, cut the lines as Mario and Luigi. It's the most prominent during Mario and Luigi's backstory. That was caused by Movie Maker. I know it's happened to some other creators before, you know, back in the old days when everyone was using Movie Maker, but just really weird and kind of hard on the ears. I'm sorry for that.
That's preposterous. Bat nipples and bat asses. Makes me sick.
Oh god, my Knuckles voice. It's even worse in this episode than in the first. I don't know what was with me at the time, that like I was doing it kind of like nasal, and that's not really the kind of quality that you would imagine Knuckles' voice being. I have no idea what was up with me during that session.
You know who else has bat nipples and a bat ass?
Whoa! My voice sounds different. Must have been that medicine I smuggled. Whee!
We got a couple of running gags established here in this scene. The first one is that Rouge hits on people. Very original. Of course, I would grow to regret this gag because it just kind of bottlenecks Rouge into a very one-note personality, and I grew to regret it, of course, but this is where that started. Everyone was doing it at the time. I thought, oh, gee, it would be funny if I did that too, huh? And it really wasn't. And then the cough medicine running gag. It's just called medicine here, so we don't know what kind of medicine it is yet, but that's just to explain how KN was now the understudy voice of Tails, taking over as I was trying to get back into contact with Hamstar Runner.
Hey guys!
Yay! Sonic's back!
Damn it, why do you always have to ruin everything?
Sonic's friends really fucking hate him for some reason, and it perplexes me. I don't know why I wrote them like this, that like Sonic was just kind of an annoyance. You know, maybe like there'll be some explanation someday, but I cannot fathom for now like why they were acting to him like this. Just poor Sonic, man, poor Sonic.
Why must stuff like this happen every 5 freaking days?
So that joke references a little in-joke that my little brother and I had about the Sonic games when we were getting into it. You know, there were so many of them at the time. We kind of figured that, like, it must be that each game takes place like 5 or so days after the last one because, again, you know, they were just so frequent. So that's just like a little joke that my brother and I had about the Sonic series at the time.
Grrr! Sonic's always ruining my plans. I hate him!
Episode 3, this is where the villains debut, and for Eggman specifically, a new voice actor. Boyle Voices is the voice of Eggman in the early episodes of Sonic and Mario, and the way that I found Kyle Boyle here is he was the voice of Eggman in the Sonic Song 182 series, so he did an audition. I just heard him and I was like, wow, this is a really good Eggman. So I asked, and he was alright with it, and that's how that turned about.
Now that we're partners, what shall we do next?
Kyle had only sent me lines for the first scene, so I had to fill in for the second and third, and my Robotnik voice at the time was a voice, very yelly, nothing that I would be able to do today, and it was not great. It's kind of funny because I did that, then I put the episode together, uploaded it on YouTube, and then like a couple hours later, I got the email from Kyle with with the lines from the other two scenes. So that's the basis for the version that I uploaded later, which I will get to in a moment.
I don't know. Do you minuscule fools have pizza?
Of course, this is the start of the running joke about Bowser and his pizza. Poor guy was not able to get his pizza for some time, and you know, that's really just based on the fact that pizza is my favorite food, and I just wanted to incorporate it in the show somehow. So there you go.
Now that our armies are unified, I can finally stop using this piece of metallic trash.
Hey!
Shut up, you, and don't use that, well, I almost took over the world excuse. That's my shtick.
Now, introducing my brand new robots that will destroy our enemies, Scratch and Grounder!
Metal Sonic, Scratch, and Grounder were meant to feature more in the series as recurring characters, but I kind of forgot about them as I was writing more of Season 1 and like rewriting, especially when I had to cut things down due to my scheduling at the time and whatnot. Metal Sonic would come back in fairly short order. Scratch and Grounder, it would have to take a while for that to be a thing, but yeah, they were supposed to be a part of like the villain entourage for the series, and like I remember a Thanksgiving episode, for instance, where Scratch like turned into a giant Scratch. You know, he was a big old turkey. So just something that was left on the cutting room floor, and it was all because I'm forgetful.
Did you know that apparently YouTube accounts come with essential vitamins and minerals?
The narrator's joke here is a reference to Little Karibo uploading a video about Team 4-Star. They made a new channel after their original got suspended. That channel doesn't exist anymore. Since the original is back, I guess they figured that they don't need it, but that's where that came about. So a little reference to some abridged series creators.
Now that we're partners, what shall we do next?
Then, of course, we have the remake of Episode 3, which came out in early 2010. We got Kyle Boyle back as Eggman for the final two scenes, as God intended. And Scratch, you may notice that he doesn't call Grounder a bitch. And that's just because, like, thinking back on it, like, Scratch and Grounder are just so silly that it didn't really feel right for Scratch to be swearing. So that's why I just cut that bit out.
Sonic, we've been searching for the longest of time, but still nothing! Well, if some people didn't delay their work by 1 billion years, we would probably have them by now.
Alright, 4 episodes in and we're already getting a schedule slip joke. So, my original intention was for Sonic and Mario to be weekly, which was quite an ambitious desire, especially for, you know, a bit of an impatient teenager. I didn't really have the resources to do such a thing. Even now, I don't. So, good on 15-year-old me to have goals, I guess, but they just weren't attainable, and, you know, I had to compress the season and a bit of the second as well due to it, and it was just, I don't know what I was thinking.
I'm gonna get that bastard back no matter how much it takes. For Bobby!
Poor Bobby.
So, Mike the Burrowbot gets introduced and, you know, dedicates his upcoming effort to his fallen pal, Bobby. And this was supposed to be the setup for a brick joke that would happen in the next episode, but it would not get resolved for years. So, you know, sorry to Mike there, but yeah. Again, just revolves around my weird scheduling that I had at the time.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast who?
Dreamcast.
Would you just stop already?
Fine, Mimi.
So there's a couple Dreamcast references in this episode, and it's really only for the fact that I kind of had like a bit of a fascination with the console at the time. I had just recently got mine, and like even to this day, I still think that like some of the things that Sega did with it were cool, but I was probably actually like really annoying about it back then. So to anyone who had heard me talk about the system at the time, I am terribly sorry, but it slipped its way into this episode.
So, what are the things that you like?
Fun, flowers, Mario, glass,
What was that last one?
sugar.
I can't remember if Peach being violent was meant to be like a running gag, or if it was just a one-off joke. It's a bit of an unusual one coming from her, but I guess that was kind of the point, right? That, you know, the sweet little princess was actually, you know, a bit of a psycho, but it never went anywhere, so, yeah.
Can our heroes collect all 7 of the Chaos Emeralds, or will Robotnik finally get his way?
The narrator's voice is starting to become what it was for the rest of the series here. You can definitely tell a bit of a change, whereas he sounded a bit calm, you know, in the first 3 episodes. Now he's kind of, you know, losing his British accent a bit and becoming a little more rough in the voice. I really don't know what prompted that, to be honest. It's just kind of how I started voicing him, and it really did just evolve into a completely different voice from where the series started.
Find out this and more when I'm ready.
Say the damn line right!
Fine! On the next episode of Sonic and Mario. You happy?
Another start to another running gag, Rouge and I having beef, so I inserted myself into the series as the director, and I don't know what, like, prompted this one, because I've always liked Rouge as a character. I guess I just had to pick one. Maybe it was KN's acting ability, I'm not sure, but there you go, another random-ass running gag, just me trying to be silly, I guess. So before I say anything about Episode 5, I have to address this elephant in the room. Dr. Eggman makes a homophobic comment towards Sonic, and Sonic reacts angrily to it and beats him up. Now, you could look at this in the light that, you know, the good guy is reasonably upset with hearing something so awful, but I regret putting this in, and a similar bit in Episode 29, where Tails talks about quote-unquote gender confusion, and again, like, you can see it in the way that Sonic and Mario and Luigi tell him about how ridiculous his way of thinking is, and KN does as well, but there's an improvised part on the end of that shows just how much we didn't know back then. So, again, I regret putting these in, and I'm really sorry about this. And you can look at it again in the way that the heroes are delivering the right message. However, I don't feel like it was necessary to put that stuff in there in the first place. Like, the me of today would not write such a thing unless if the story was specifically about how those mindsets are bad. So, that's why I regret it. Like, it just wasn't necessary, and again, my apologies.
Hello everybody, I am the almighty and powerful director. You know, we at SAA ran out of the animation budget for this episode to make a fight scene, even though there wasn't really an animation budget or any serious choreography for a fight scene. Hell, the animation didn't even start.
Moving on, we have the beginning of a new running gag, the fight subversions. This happened because this and every subsequent fight was supposed to be animated by my little brother, and that delayed this episode for some time, and, you know, I had my weird scheduling thing going on. I wanted the first and second seasons to be premiered by the end of 2009, so I was kind of just, like, in a panic, trying to get, like, these episodes out because the year was about to end, and I thought that, like, this would be funny. So, it persisted in the series as, like, splash screens for most of them, and then, like, rants by me in the season finales, and that's kind of how that gag got started. It was made with the intention, though, that the series finale would, in fact, have a fight scene, and so it was just something to build up toward when we got, like, the actual fight. Speaking of my weird scheduling, I actually meshed together 2 episodes into one for this one, and honestly I think it works out to this episode's favor, because, like, episode 6 was supposed to be just the fight, and I feel like that wouldn't have worked. Like, it would have filled out the time, but, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of episode afterward. So I feel like I did the right thing here by having, like, the opening and the fight together, as well as, of course, the aftermath to the fight, so that, I think, is a saving grace of this episode.
Hey, I got a joke for you. Why couldn't your little brother animate the fight scene? Because your little sister hogged the computer. Ha 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 ha. Oh, that wasn't funny.
My sincerest apologies to my little sister for this joke. I really shouldn't have thrown her under the bus like this. It was petty and dumb, and I regret it.
Sonic? Yeah?
You son of a Goomba! You lost our emeralds!
Mario calls Sonic a son of a Goomba here. That is a reference to Stupid Mario Brothers, the first of many that I would make throughout this. Stupid Mario was one of my inspirations as I was making this show, and I had become a fan of the show as I was developing Sonic and Mario, trying to get the first episode out and everything, and it really did just kind of shape my humor around then.
Hey! Get back here! I'm gonna have a plunger shoved up your ass when I'm done with you, Hedgehog!
What a terribly violent threat that Mario makes towards Sonic here. Luigi says that it's like a trait of his when something goes wrong, that Mario gets like really violent and angry, but it never really became much a thing in the show. Like, it's just this episode, maybe one other, but it's not like that often used, so it just kind of became like a dead running gag like right at the start. Again, it was supposed to be more often, but I just forgot about it, I guess. How cringe. I was 14 to 15 years old as I was making this, and goddamn, you can really tell. While this show obviously had a lot of problems that needed fixing, the premise, story structure, and many of the gags had been established. Next time is Season 2, the Jason Sonic storyline. I'll see you all there next time on Sonic and Mario Tidbits.